I'm just trying something new. I figured I'd react to some random stuff that piques my interest from time to time, and we're gonna do that more often because I like learning new things and I like doing little deep dives of random shit. So today's topic is Warhammer 40k. By the way, if you guys end up enjoying this reaction, consider let me know, and maybe we'll do another one next week, or we'll look. I know there's a lot of factions and stuff, you know. I personally played a lot of orcs, and my friend played, I think it's called the Grey Knights, and that was a disaster having 5 Grey Knights against like 1,000 orcs, it seemed like. And well, there's a lot to figure out. Let's just get into it. Hi, how's it going? Check out this thing. Greatly appreciate it. Consider liking, commenting, subscribing if you enjoyed my content whatsoever. I am a reactor that likes to talk a lot and kind of break down random things, talk about random stories or comparisons, whatever it may be. And I like doing this. All right. I also have a gaming channel. I stream on Twitch. I have a Discord if you're interested in any of that stuff. Hey, consider coming over to anything. So my experience with Warhammer is minimal. All right. So I found this lore explained for beginners. That's me, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm a beginner. I don't know if there's something lower than a beginner, because that could also be me, but beginner. I started purely on tabletop because my friends all got into like the miniatures, and I'm like, I want to get into miniature. I'm like, these are cute. I like these things. And they kind of gave me an explanation, like a very brief explanation about like the different kind of factions. And for me, it was between like these like dinosaur looking like raptors with guns or orcs. Because I love hive-based units and armies and stuff like that. And like in all of my RTSs, I always love playing like goblins or orcs, whatever I can spam a metric fuck ton of units of. That's what I love. I don't know. I like numbers and I like making my computer lag, so that was a great time. So I stuck with orcs, and I ended up doing that for a while, and it was a great time. But it also requires you to have people near you when you play tabletop stuff. So there was that. But anyway, I'm ranting about that. Let's get into this first. I just wanted a generic lore video before like we got into it to see if more people would be interested in like diving deep, or like, hey, you should really check out this lore thing because it's kind of nuts. And I'm like, okay, sure. That's the idea. Sorry for the little rant. Let's learn maybe.
Warhammer 40,000 has the craziest, most complex and deep lore I've ever seen in anything fiction. It is literally a meme in the community that trying to explain Warhammer quickly is impossible. But I actually think this is something of a rite of passage for Warhammer lore YouTube channels to attempt to explain Warhammer quickly. And so that's what I want to do with this.
That's what was intimidating for me, is because like when I was looking up lore videos, I'm like, where do we want to start? Like where's the generic starting point for this? And it was like, I'm like 50 minutes. I'm like, will I even understand what's going on? Like, how well are these lore videos? I mean, I guess they could be good. I guess you guys can let me know. But like, I figured for beginners was the best place to be. And I know there's a lot of factions. There's a lot of lore with this shit. Just from like, not even trying to attempt to learn it, but just from, I guess, being next to people that like just talk about it in general, or just even playing the game sometimes. I'm like, there's a lot of shit here.
This video, I want to do my version of explaining all of Warhammer lore as quickly as possible.
That's crazy. Okay.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that I need to establish here before we actually get into what the lore is.
I forgot. I forgot there were flying robot babies. I never thought I would have to say that, but they exist.
The first thing to establish is the character of the Emperor of Mankind. Now, a lot of other fiction has an emperor or a central imperial figure, and Warhammer is no different, but I would argue this character is the coolest out of all the other emperors.
He reminds me, just by looking at him, he kind of reminds me of Arthas. What? Do you have a fucking claw hand and a fire sword? We have a lot to talk about, huh? I always appreciated the fantasy mixed with technology genre. I think we just talked about this recently in one of my reactions. I think it was like Nemona or something like that. But like it's a very sick aesthetic. I first wanted to talk about this like Shrek dude in the bottom right hand corner. This skeleton fish looking dude with he's all green. He's got a golden tooth. I'm kind of interested in that. Is that Thanos up there? Are these not all part of Warhammer stuff? Because that's definitely that's Star Wars. Who is the mummy? Okay.
A couple of things about the Emperor. Number one, he's a perpetual. This means he's essentially immortal. He began with humanity a long time ago and has been living alongside us for centuries. It's actually recently revealed that he's Alexander the Great, or at least he was Alexander the Great. This is one of his many lives that he had, and he dies and he comes back to life. And so because
that's actually, is that what the stories are going to be like in this? We are a minute in and you're going to hit me with this dude is Alexander the Great is crazy. Also, do you need that much armor if you're like immortal, or is their term of immortal different than what I would expect? Like you can't be injured or hurt or anything like that. Because I'm like, if I was like immortal, I'm like, I would just go in with like a dagger and just like soup, and just walk around. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
He is a perpetual. Eventually, he starts trying to guide humanity towards a better future. Wow. Now, the next concept we have to keep in mind is the warp, or the immaterium. In Warhammer, there's another universe that runs parallel to our own.
This is fucking sick. What am I looking at? Holy shit. This reminds me of like any of those shows that like talk about like the giants or titans or whatever in space. You know what I mean? Like I think there was a little bit in Adventure Time, there's a little bit in Final Space. You know that kind of shit where there's just some big thing that can like grip a planet by its hand. That's what that reminds me of, and that is awesome. That planet is fucking done.
And this is known as the immaterium, or the warp. And the warp is many different things. I mean, you can think of it as just a demonic dimension full of chaos gods. It's also a place that characters are able to use to do space travel. It's also a well of crazy powers and ability that allow certain beings in our universe known as psychers to be able to tap into. Most of the crazy witchcraft and powers that you see in 40K are psychers tapping into the warp. And in fact,
psychers, so like almost like mages, right? Is that a fine assumption? Is there Warhammer D&D? Because D&D is like usually fantasy, right? Because Dungeons and Dragons. I guess they would not call it D&D. It'd be something else, right? Because obviously you're not killing dungeons or dragons. Well, I guess there could be Dungeons and Dragons. Moving on. Because if there's this much lore and this much factions and like there's so many different stories and shit you could do within a realm of even one of these planets, let alone the whole fucking, if you have like a space crew. Oh, that'd be sick. Oh, that's off.
And in fact, it's actually explained in the lore of Warhammer that in our modern day, like where we're at right now, a lot of the tales of different wizards and witches and magic and a lot of our myths are actually coming from real people that were able to tap into the warp. Okay, next thing we got to establish is the present setting of Warhammer 40,000, because when the game was originally conceived, it was just in the 40th millennia, and there's constant war, and mankind is fighting against the orcs, the Tyranids. But then the lore gets filled in with a lot of stuff that happens leading up to the present day 41st millennia. Currently, the Imperium of Man is a heavily centralized authoritarian regime. They're brutal, they're fascist, they destroy people that won't worship the emperor. They fight.
Jesus, that just never changes, right? That's a story as old as time, I guess, at this point. That's wild. But also, like, is it like rude to be like shocked that humans made it this far? You know, like we're scrappy, but like we're versing space gods and orcs and Grey Knights. Let's keep, they're nightmares to me. All right, they've just demolished me. But like we're just people. You know, we're just here having a good time. But obviously, I guess we're not anymore.
Constant wars against other aliens. They take advantage of hive worlds where most of the humans grow up as essentially slaves. That's and crazy. They mine resources that are then sent to Terra or Earth.
What can I just, I love these pictures. Like, this is very ideal for me. I love looking at pictures for like descriptors of like the video essay type of stuff. And I don't know if this is just an armor, like this thing in the center here, if that's just armor on a little like armor hook or whatever it is. But if that's a little robot with like a skinny leg and a little skinny, it's almost horrifying. You know, if you're in a cave and that thing's like floating around going, I don't know, that's a noise I decided it made. I would cry.
The Emperor himself is interred upon the Golden Throne. It's a life-sustaining device that keeps his psychic presence alive.
Holy shit. Are you living at the, what are you doing? What do you just sign off on something and then you go to sleep for a month and a half? Holy shit. Damn. Well, at least there's not like just a bunch of women around him and he doesn't have that kind of ego, right? We're not going to jump to that kind of screen right after this, right? Because like this is, I'm not going to say it's fine, but at least he doesn't have like the ego of like having like a bunch of women around. It's like, I need to keep my family going, you know, whatever the fuck it is. And I'm just a little worried about those.
The Emperor is also worshipped as a god across the Imperium. The Imperium faces countless threats, both external and internal. Chaos continues to corrupt and wage war. Xenos...
We're going back. Look at that big bitch. That reminds me of like, oh my god, there's 1,000 things that represent that kind of dude. Stitches. Right, is that his name? Asmodon, what's his name? You know, the guy from Diablo 4, the big guy, the Gluttony. Is there any of these ringing a bell?
War, Xenos races pose a constant danger, and the warp itself is still threatening to expand and engulf all of reality.
That's
the
crazy.
Space Marines, the kind of guys you always see depicted on Warhammer art, are out there fighting the good fight, defending the Imperium from heretics, aliens, and other enemies. But
well, the thing is, like, if they're all right, if this warp is trying to expand and take over everything, they're like, is it gonna get tired at some point? Because there's an unlimited amount of space. So, like, when would they be like, hey guys, enough is enough? I think we have plenty of room now. I don't know why I did that voice. You know, like, are they achieving a goal, or are they just expanding to expand? Because at some point, like, how much is too much, you know? And then, like, it's crazy to me that these Space Marines are trying to fight off the warp, right? These, like, soldiers with, like, cute little... We watched this, like, this Horus animation, whatever it was, and they have some pretty cool tech. But I don't think these cute little exploding bullets are going to do anything against a planet-sized monster, right? We're going to need a fucking Tesla cannon or some blonde hero. One of the two.
frankly, it's not a good time. It's a really dark, crazy place. The Imperium itself, technically the good guys, but also kind of horrible. But now let's Tarantino this, right? Let's go back in time. How did we get here? Let's first talk about the dark age of technology.
Oh, there's a Warhammer 10K, right? That's math. That's how math works. I didn't even think about that. I've just always, accepted it as just 40K, and it's just been like, all right, they picked that year. That's the year that we're working with. But when this goes into fantasy times, right? I don't know. I guess we'll see what kind of technology we have. All right, the dark age of technology. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay. I know we're only 5 minutes into this, and I talk a lot, and I like to, do it, but like, this is very interesting. I'm not great at like learning shit, but like I'm just entertained by the information that's presented. Not even trying to digest it properly. I'm just like, hey, I like that. That's a cool story. That's a cool idea. Who the fuck is that guy? Why does he have razor claws and a fire sword? Alexander the Great. All right, how many other people are there in the human realm that existed for millennia?
This goes back to the 25th millennia and lasts all the way to the 29th millennia. During this period, humanity made extraordinary advancements in science, technology, and colonization.
I don't mean to disrespect this dude, but I love this shot so much. Go back. Where is it?
Millennia. During this period, humanity made extraordinary advancements in...
Humans made extraordinary advances, and it's just this dude. I'm here to help. Like you could show a picture of like a city or like an arsenal or some like robots or something. It's just this one dude named Dave with like a fucking gun on him and just a little vest. And he's like, I've made crazy advancements. I'm rooting for him though.
Science, technology, and colonization. They developed incredible feats of engineering, interstellar travel, and artificial intelligence. They also discovered the warp, and were utilizing the warp in a lot of this technology. They created these warp-capable starships that allowed them to travel across the galaxies. They created...
How many of those would you have to make beforehand to know that they made it to the other side? You know, like, how do they know if they failed or not? I guess you would have a walkie-talkie, but what if you can't communicate on the other side? How do you know? You know? That's a lot of trial and error to go, like, to make a ship to send people through, to be like, all right, well, if you die, you die. You know? Props.
Terraforming technologies, which also pulled on the power of the warp. And then they made maybe one of the most important things ever, and that is sophisticated AI. So things were going great for humans. Human colonies started spreading throughout the galaxy, and their dominion was massive. But
oh, this explains, oh my God. This would explain the different factions of humans, right? Because there's like Space Marines, and then there's like Space Marine wolves, and then there's Space Marines in like red, and then there's like Space Marines in like yellow. I really can't explain it properly, but I know there's different factions of humans and they just depict themselves differently just by color. But what if they pick the same color? Like, what if Space Marines armadillos pick the same color as Space Marines wolves? You know, and then they accidentally went to war together. That would be a mess. Back to the original idea. So is that why there's so many different human factions that do different things? I know that little bit, but not much else. Like, I know little tidbits of things.
Then some bad stuff happened. First thing that happened were these things called the Men of Iron, which were advanced artificial intelligences. Yeah, they became sentient and rebelled.
That's sick. That's sick. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So these were man-made machines that became sentient and rebelled. That is crazy, because you get a smart enough AI with a capable body, even just one. If you leave one of these guys alive, they will be able to rebuild a whole faction, right? Because like they have the knowledge and the capacity to make another like them, and you make two, then two would make four, then four would make eight, or you know, however the multiplying would work, and you just endlessly expand. They don't need to sleep either. They're so much better. I mean, they rely on power, so in a big EMP maybe that would be pretty great, but like, that's awesome. That's a sick image too. That's pretty cool.
Turning against humanity and having a massive war. This war was known as the War of Devastation, and it resulted in widespread loss of life.
Who the fuck is that? That reminds me of the things from Helldivers, the robot skeleton Terminator looking bitches. That's crazy. That's pretty sick. All right. In my opinion, this might be a hot topic. I don't think Warhammer has done great with the games recently. I mean, I haven't played all of them, so I'm sure there's like Rogue Trader that I've been waiting to play. It's on my wish list. But like, I wasn't crazy about the prison one, where, how the fuck do you word it? It's not like, you know, you play as a big guy and you get like a shield or brass knuckles and you go through the tunnels and stuff like that. I wasn't crazy about that one, but I only played it when it first came out, and I wasn't impressed with it that much. And then there was the new one, Warhammer 2 or 40K, Space Marine 2, whatever it is. And like, the idea of that game works, it's just not enough for me. They recently came out with a swarm mode or some shit like that, right? And I played a little bit of it and I wasn't really that impressed with it, because I'm like, Gears of War 2 or 3 did this 10-20 years ago, and you got to make like turrets and like you got to build like little turret. It was like a turret defense, you know, and that was sick. And then I play into this, it's like, oh, you can summon squad. I know I'm ranting on this, but like, I love the idea of all this. Like, look at the shit, because there could be like a please bear with me. There was a Star Wars game where it was like kind of horror based, and it was like you played as like a squad. You know what I mean? I'll leave it at that. You could do something like a sick horror, like squad-based Warhammer game where you fight this kind of shit. Would be awesome. All right, thank you for coming. I know we're 5 minutes into this video. It's already 20 minutes. I apologize. There's just so much cool shit in this. I am fascinated, and I want to talk about more things. I guess we would have to do another video. A 50-minute video would be like a 3-hour video at this point.
The AI rebellion targeted human settlements, infrastructure, and military forces, causing a crazy amount of destruction. Entire worlds were laid waste, and the conflict escalated to crazy cataclysmic proportions.
Who the fuck are you, bro? Is that an AI Titan guy, or is that like a golem? I didn't think about robots making bigger robots. See, I think small-minded sometimes. I talk a lot, but like that, those are beautiful thighs.
Eventually, humanity did destroy the Men of Iron and win the War of Devastation. But this led to a deep fear and a distrust of advanced artificial intelligence. So as a result, the use of AI and technology was severely restricted, and the Adeptus Mechanicus, the religious and technological organization, emerged to preserve the control of technological knowledge. This is very similar to what happens in the Dune series, where they also had a war with AI and then swear off AI totally.
I understand now why so many people are skeptical against AI. It could have just pushed the entirety of Warhammer 40K into the 40K because of AI. I understand.
But things didn't just get better after the War of Devastation. In fact, the warp itself started going crazy in the galaxy, probably because of the advancement of all these humans and their emotional imprint upon it. A bunch of...
Oh. That's a thing? There's a lot to digest here, so excuse me. An emotional imprint expands the warp, or at least, like, alters it? Jesus. All you need is a few Love Islands and you're good to go. That would juice the fuck out of this thing, if that's what's happening.
Warp storms ended up cutting off interstellar travel, and various human civilizations fell into isolation, technological decline, and barbarism. So basically, humans got really advanced technology spread out all throughout the galaxy. Then their AI turned on them. They had a crazy war with AI. The warp itself went bananas, separated all of them, and all these advanced human colonies out there in the galaxy degraded into really barbaric, sometimes feudal states. This era was known as the Age of Strife, and it directly leads into the rise of the Emperor of Mankind and the Great Crusade.
It's just wild. This is so crazy. There is so much information to process and digest, dude. And he's doing a great job at like making things simple and, you know, dumb for me, so I could be like, okay, all right, okay. But like, it's like every other sentence I'm like, really? Oh, really? Oh, you can do that? You know, I'm just constantly shocked. I can't believe this dude is just like existing though. You know, Alexander the Great's just doing his thing. I mean, well, props to him. Is he that big? Is he that big? I didn't notice those were people down there.
And the Great Crusade.
He's talking about that.
So the Emperor of Mankind reveals himself as this powerful psychic being that's been with us forever and is here to help us go into the future. He begins something known as the Great Crusade.
Okay. All right. So he showed up, right? Is that what you're explaining?
Psychic being that's been with us forever and is here to help us go into the future.
There's no way this is good, right? What's his motivation? You know, is he actually just here to help? Because there's no goddamn way. I don't know. It's something to me doesn't feel right about it. But like, he's like, hey, these are. If he's just like, hey, these are my people, and I'm gonna protect these people as much and as often as I can. Awesome. But like, no good guy ever has a giant claw hand and a flaming sword. You know, well, I guess it would be intimidating, but like, I don't know. But there's also like, is that a human stabbing him? I don't know. I'm not on board with this dude yet, but I'm not off board. I am 1 foot on board. Maybe.
He begins something known as the Great Crusade to reunite humanity and bring order to the galaxy. And then, because the Emperor was also a genetic genius and really good with technology, he creates super soldier beings. It's one of my favorite things about the Emperor of Mankind. He's a lot like Mr. Sinister from the Marvel X-Men books. The first soldiers he creates for himself are the Custodian Guard.
Hold on, go back. I was trying to read. Oh, the middle one. Okay, so I was looking on the far end because I'm assuming we start all the way small and we go all the way big. So the first person he makes are the custodians. You know, we have to have someone to clean up the shit, right? Actually, would that be the reason why they're called custodians? Oh, we're moving on. So do you come with the tattoos on you? You know, and you have more plugins. So like if we even just look on this timeline here, the one all the way on the right, which I don't think we go any bit farther to the right, is like just like a big dude, right? 8 foot, big boy, big muscular boy. I'm sure those types of men exist currently or can, you know, far and few between. But then the one after that, the Primaris, I wish I could see more of these names or more of this information. They have these like holes in them. So like the one all the way on the right looks more human. And then the next one over is like it's more mixed with technology or the genetics, whatever. Maybe those are the plugins. So maybe that's when we started like juicing these boys up to extremes. All right. We also increased the size of his loincloth. Great. So like I think this was like we went from human to like mixed robot, and then it almost looks like we went from the Primaris to back to the Custodians, and we almost took like a step back. Because the one before us had like the mechanical eye, and it looks more like, you know, he's more like put together like a Lego man. But this one is more human, and he's got like just like I don't know if the like tubes going there. I don't really know what the fuck's going on. But like we're going less robot, right? And then even if we look after that, the Primarch, whatever the fuck it is, he is just full human. You know, so it's like we went human, robot man, less robot man, more human, and they get bigger. That's a 10-foot dude. Gee, fascinating, by the way.
They served as his personal protectors and bodyguards, and they were these massive human beings. They were resistant to psychic attacks, damn near perfect in the way that they could fight. They had incredible technology and armor and weapons. They're damn near perfect, but there was a problem. They were just way too hard to create and to replicate. The Emperor couldn't really see himself conquering all of the galaxy with custodians. That would just take forever to create that many custodians.
Interesting. I am very interested. So I'm sure he's going to explain it right now, actually.
So then he created the Thunder Warriors.
Oh, so you started off okay. I thought we were going from right to left because it's, you know, obviously you get the bigger soldier, but the custodians were too intense and too perfect, so we had to dumb them down a little bit. So you included more robot parts to make them easier to make, and then you went to the Thunder. Okay. All right.
Thunder Warriors were much easier to create than a Custodian Guard, but they were also crazy powerful, superhuman warriors. But there was a problem. The Thunder Warriors were unstable. But the Emperor figured they were good enough to conquer and unify all of Earth, or Terra, so he took part in what was known as the Unification Wars. And with the Custodians by his side, he and the Thunder Warrior army beat back all of these different warlords that were on Earth. The Emperor conquered all of Earth, but then he had him and his Custodians destroy all of the Thunder Warriors.
Is there a reason why we're getting attacked so much? Space is massive, right? Is Warhammer 40K taking place in like, I don't want to say our solar system, but like our universe, or are they coming over here because like, hey, I hear there's humans on this one tiny planet all the way over here that we could just blow up and then we take their women. Like, what do they want with us? Why are they coming after us? I mean, we're trying to like make the place better, but like, how in affinity, how big is this? You know, And then like the next universe over, there's just dinosaurs being processed or some shit, you know, some basic thing.
Next up was the creation of the Primarchs. The Emperor
Who the fuck is that man? Is that a terror of mankind? Holy shit. The Primarchs. Okay. 12 foot. Oh no, he is 10 foot. I can't tell anymore. Maybe he's 12 foot.
created 20 genetically engineered beings infused with incredible power and
Wait, you only made 12 of these?
20 genetically engineered beings infused with incredible power.
Who is this? Who is this cutie little redhead on the bottom? Like what makes them want to keep certain haircuts? I love this dude on the top here, 1X. I mean that is a cool looking guy. Then we also have like the Skyrim character over here at number 3, and then we have the dude that just wanted to be red down here. This guy's got a thunder strike on him, sure. Then we have Snape down here, and then we have this. We have Wendy's down here protecting the earth. Cool.
Power and leadership. He used some of his own DNA, some of his perpetual baby mama's DNA. And he also made some kind of a
What did I fucking tell you?
deal with the chaos gods of the warp. It's unclear if he was given a portion of power from chaos or if he stole a portion of the power of chaos, but either way, he took some of the chaos power of the warp and infused it into these 20 Primarchs. But the chaos gods, who for now you can just think of as these demonic beings in the warp that are
You know, each of them are cool, but what are you gonna tell the goddess with the giant tongue? You know, no, obviously not. You know. Then we have Sauron. Sorry, excuse me. We have the big greed guy again, who looks pretty cool. To be honest, he would probably be the guy at the cauldron. That'd be my faction that I would get to choose because I always love, you know, as we were talking about before, he seems like a horde kind of guy, and it's gross and swamp-like. I'm into it. The guy on the left seems like a psychopath, but me personally, she can take whatever she wants.
are watching over what's happening in the material universe. Yeah, they didn't like that he was creating these 20 immortal, godlike, chaos-capable beings. And so while these Primarchs were still infants, the Chaos Gods disrupted the Emperor's plans and scattered the Primarchs across the galaxy. However, the Emperor still had the gene seed from the Primarchs, which is basically just a bunch of their genetic material, and he used the genetic material to create the Space Marine chapters. And so...
Hold on. Come on. The Imperial Guard. I mean, it's still a big boy, don't get me wrong. 6 foot. It's still a big dude, but just compared to everybody else is fucking wild. That also seems like significantly more of a 1.5 foot difference. Because the... Oh, wait, that's the Astartes. That's the dude from the animation that I was just talking about earlier. Oh my god, they're just the second one? Dude. That's fucking wild. Because, like, I don't know. I think do we play as the Imperial Guard in the game? You know, because you get in the mech suits, and those mech suits are pretty big, but, like, some of these humans are bigger than these fucking mech suits. That's crazy.
Chapters. And so then the Emperor had all of these different Astartes, all of these different Space Marines that are essentially the sons of these father Primarchs, and also they are essentially his own sons being made of his own gene seed. And then he goes out into the galaxy and he rediscovers each Primarch. Most of the Primarchs have become leaders of their respective domains on the different planets that they crashed on, but they all have unique upbringings, unique cultural influences, and also unique abilities. This is one of the best parts of the Warhammer lore, and it allows each one of the Primarchs to have, like, all kinds of unique attributes, and we're going to get into that, but for this video, we'll just kind of leave it there.
That's crazy. That's sick, though. We are barely one faction in to the lore, and I am so fascinated by the ideas of this. You know, this is an awesome story. I cannot believe we have to, like, there's hour-long videos of this. I love it. You guys have to let me know if you want more of this. I would love to watch more of these.
So after discovering all of the Primarchs and putting them to work to unify the rest of the galaxy, the Emperor goes back to Terra and he begins working on the Webway. Essentially, he's just trying to really perfect space travel through the warp for the entire Imperium. Okay. But the Chaos Gods, who remember were keeping a close eye on all of this and had scattered all the infant Primarchs, yeah, well, they didn't like what was going on with the Emperor, so...
Do they have anything else that they're doing? Or are they just trying to be pieces of shit and just cause... Well, I guess... Well, I mean, we're always causing problems and pushing our limits too. But, like, are we really causing that much trouble? Probably.
They start to corrupt the Primarchs. Horus, who was named as the War Master over all of the Imperium army, was corrupted by the Chaos Gods and started a rebellion. Oof. This is known as the Horus Heresy, and it happens in the 30th millennia, 10,000 years before Warhammer 40k. And even though the rebellion itself only lasted for between 7 to 10 years, its ramifications were felt forever, and it is the biggest part of the Warhammer lore. Horus gets about half of the Primarchs to flip to his side, and there's this crazy big civil war, a lot of devastation, some chapters of Space Marine almost being wiped out completely. Many of the Primarchs are killed, and it all culminates with a crazy battle between the Emperor and Horus himself. Horus is juiced up to the gills with a bunch of Chaos God energy, and the Emperor is the Emperor.
The Emperor is the Emperor. That's crazy, man. I mean, that's a cool story. That's nuts. They're like, hey, you all right? We're gonna give you a lot of power, but like that power is still like maybe even not enough to just deal with this like Alexander the Great, who's just a big boy. You know, no, did anyone give him his power? I don't remember talking about how Alexander got so big. He was just really good at like genetic mutation, whatever it is, but he's also immortal. You know what I mean? So like, was he just always working on this kind of shit? I want to learn. I need more information.
And so they're fighting. The Emperor doesn't want to kill Horus because he still kind of thinks of him as a son. Horus is taking a lot of shots at the Emperor, like really doing some serious damage to him. And then something flips in the Emperor. He decides Horus is no good, and he does a Kamehameha wave attack that not only destroys all of Horus's body, but it actually destroys his very soul. Most of the time in Warhammer, especially if you're
wait, the Emperor's soul or Horus's soul?
Primarch, you can die in the physical form, but your soul will go into the warp and it'll linger there, and some of them even come back to life. But there's nothing of Horus to come back to life. The Emperor destroys his very existence. On every level of reality, Horus was obliterated. But
that's crazy to me. But I'm sure like even the Emperor's like power doesn't match anywhere close to the gods, right? But like that, like they juiced up that dude and they're like, all right, go fight the Emperor, and the Emperor's just like, nah. It just like obliterates even the like non-existent him. Why the fuck is he so strong? Holy shit.
in order to obliterate Horus, the Emperor used all of the last bits of physical energy that he had, and it leaves his body completely decimated. He's essentially a corpse at that point, barely alive, and he's dragged to the Golden Throne where he's put on life support. And from there, the Emperor exists, being alive mostly in the warp now, and over 1,000 psychic human beings a day are sacrificed to the Golden Throne as a way to keep the Emperor alive.
Well, what the fuck is he doing? He's barely 1,000 people a day? I gotta see how they do this. What's the logistics of sacrificing 1,000 people? That's a lot of people. I don't know the time. I don't know how many seconds there would be in a day. It's almost like 1 a second. So they need to be on a treadmill, and there just needs to be a blade that goes across, and they go, they'll just like fly into that thing. Oh my God. That's wild. And he's also a very big boy. Was he already that big too?
And that's it. That's all of Warhammer's lore explained briefly. Now, some people out there might say, that's not all the lore. There's stuff that happens even before humanity exists. And I call that heresy. but also, yes, that's true. And I will make videos on that as well. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next video.
That is crazy. I'll leave a link to the original video in the comments below. I mean, in the description below. That was awesome. I loved it so much. I kept you guys here long enough. That was almost... it's 40 minutes long. It's a long video, all right? All right, thank you so much for being here. If you guys enjoyed the lore, I love reacting to lore. I love reacting to random shit, all right? If you guys enjoyed this, I found it extremely fascinating. Just let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the Matables to, like, let me know as well. You know, the channel to let me know that, hey, this was a fun reaction. I enjoyed this. I would love to see how your thoughts are about this shit, or, like, have you seen this crazy story? I have not. Not yet. But if you let me know, I would love to check it out. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy the content, subscribe to Matables for more reaction content. See ya.